Want to be more productive as an entrepreneur? So this is exactly what I found out after being an entrepreneur for the last 6 years. Sometimes less is more. I'm going to explain more in this video. So hustle and grind is all the rave and I would say the hype right now about entrepreneurship, right? A lot of people are pushing the hustle culture. You need to work harder, you need to do more as an entrepreneur. And most entrepreneurs are rebels and also have kind of like an ADHD kind of thing going. We can't really focus into many different things and we like to start things and not really complete them. And most of the time that is a strength and also a weakness in many of the cases. What I found that worked for myself is understanding and defining productivity. So previously when I was a new entrepreneur, productivity to me was doing as many things as possible I possibly can with my time. End of the day, I feel like I'm dying, I'm not really doing much and I get brain fog, I feel very tired at the end of the day. The next day repeats the cycle and get into a cycle of more and more tired. And that isn't really good for productivity. Right now, productivity to me, when I created 7-figure business, I'm scaling certain 7-figure business to 8 figures, is making good decisions and actually doing less, right? And delegating more. The fact is, doing more doesn't mean that you are more productive, but making great decisions and moving the business to me right now is more productive. So how exactly do you do that? One of the right way to do is to hire and delegate out. So be it with freelancers, with full-timers or contractors, you can easily replace certain key areas of your business. Let's just say administrative, calendar management, invoicing, creating social media content, creating YouTube editors, etc. here and there. You want to edit, kind of like get other people to kind of do it for you, especially when you are already running a successful business rather than you doing it yourself or saving on that money, so that you can free up your time to think and make better decisions for your company. Now, where most people go wrong is they try to hire a duplicate of them. So that is like close to impossible. You run the business, you are the face, you are the founder, and you take the most risk as well. So you treat your business like a baby. An employee, a contractor, freelancer do not treat your business in the same way, or rather, what you want to do is hire for skills and character at the same time. So most of the time, when you're starting out, you can't afford to hire for skills. You hire based on character and you create SOPs and then you hire them out, right? So one of the best hire for myself at this point in time is not a marketer, it's not a media buyer, it's not customer service, and it's not anything, right, that you might have think of. Rather, it's a personal assistant, right? So personal assistant is one of the best hire that free up most of my time. So my life drastically changed when I hired a personal assistant because there's a lot of things that I can do with the personal assistant. It make my life easier, help me manage my calendar, help me remind me of tasks to do, help me remove all the tasks that I do not want to do, like invoicing, email management, and stuff like that. So you basically delegate all administrative tasks, research, finding out new things that you want to buy for, as I said, friends and family, for relationship purposes, all towards that personal assistant. And you can do it to the point you travel an itinerary as well, which I recently did for my Korea trip. And that was like fantastic for me because I didn't want to spend much time as I was doing a lot of heavy lifting work for my businesses at the point of time, right? So, and even accounting literally takes one day a month. And if I can save that time, I would rather save that time or lower it down to as low as possible, like 1 hour a day, 1 hour, 1 day, to actually finish all the accounting side of things. So basically, they are taking all the tasks that requires high energy, high time wasted, and low thinking. And that's basically, I pass them all the tasks that requires repetitive, takes away a lot of my time, and that really saves up to 40 hours of my time a month. So if you're doing 6 figures at least a year in your business, and you feel like basically everything requires you to decide, everything requires you to do, easiest hire you can do is a personal assistant. And trust me, just hire one, try it out, and then you can hire better ones or like can replace the one that you're currently if it's not a good fit. And it's easily buy back your time, at least 40 hours of your time a month. So here's the 6-step process I use to hire my personal assistant. Our first step is to record down every single task you don't like to do and you want to actually kind of delegate towards them. Let's just say your emails that you hate managing. So I had like personal email that had like 30,000 over unread mails, and it's not organized and I don't know where to find things. And also have a Google Drive with a lot of random stuff which I don't organize pretty well. I wanted them to do that. I wanted them to remind me daily what I have to do, remind me to wake up on time, like personal alarm clock in a certain sense as well. And these are all the tasks that I require them to do: itinerary, research for places to eat, stuff like that, right? I don't necessarily need them to do all at once, but like on certain times, certain dates, I require them to do it. And I list them down, right? To a very comprehensive list of what I want to delegate. That's your first step. The second step is to use that list as a job description. Instead of like keeping it to the list and then doing an interview and stuff like that, I want the candidates to know what they're getting into. And this is some of the things I learned while actually learning how to hire a personal assistant, is that if you're putting it up front, in front of them, they get the expectation that they need to do such thing, and if it's too extensive and it's not their levels, they will not want to even get into the interview or send you their resume. So I use a site called onlinejobs.ph. It's something that we hire virtual assistant. So at this point in time, I do not need a physical personal assistant or executive assistant. Rather, I would just prefer a virtual one, and the cost is a fraction of how I hire based in Singapore, and I will spec in US as well. Right. The third one is to send them instructions, right, in the job description. So you want to be very clear in the instructions. So what I do is to put a weird subject line and ask them to email me and with their CV/resume to my email, right? If they cannot even do a simple instructions, a simple like understanding of instruction, or even a simple job like that, most likely you won't want to hire them as a personal assistant, as they're not detail orientated as well. So for creative processes, I might be a bit more lenient, but for detail orientation and following instructions, this is what my bare minimum of expectations. So number 4 is to get them to reply a few questions that you want to ask them. So if they pass the first stage, that comes the second stage, right? So I'll usually create a few questions to understand based on the traits that I want. Let's just say I want them to be detailed. I want them to understand what I need them to do, to be taking initiative, to figure out prompts. I need them to do certain things. So I go and craft questions and tasks related to that to get them to do. So questions can be like, what are your hobbies? Tell me your hobbies. Tell me a time where you actually failed and what do you do about it. Tell me a time you solved a difficult problem. Stuff like that you want to actually get to know what they're thinking of. Obviously, you can use ChatGPT and stuff like that to write, but if they have a personal story and it's very, very detailed and vivid, you know that somehow or other there's some truth in it, and you actually get a favorable impression onto you when you're hiring them as well, right? So from then I'll filter across to actually lower down the amount of people I will interview. The next part is a task test. So after asking them your questions to really refine what characters they have, you want them to do a certain task. So for like my personal assistant, I have a few tasks. One is to basically go through my Zoom, give me a to-do list for my client, and meeting summary, right? And that was what I wanted them to do very, very well after every Zoom. And after that, go and review all the to-do lists, right? So first thing I want them to know is that, do they understand what I'm saying? Second thing is that, do they actually note down things very well and the to-do list so that my clients can also reference them, which is something that I'm looking for. And the last one is that, do they take the time to actually go through the 1 hour long Zoom, get the most important points, and do they use other softwares to help them as well? What are they actually forward thinking, right? So these are the few things I kind of take note. How fast they do it determines on whether they got outside help or even AI help, and which I don't really care, but as long as you get the job done, right? And the last one is really narrow it down to like a few people you interview. I think I narrowed it down to like 5 to 10 people to interview, and maybe only 5 people replied for the interview. I interviewed 5, I gotten 1, right? And that is basically the gist of it. During the interview, you just need to ask questions on certain things on their resume, how experienced they are in doing things, and also certain questions that you are more pertaining to character as well. And then what do they want to do in the next few years, etc. here and there. That's just basically it. A very basic hire, a very easy to hire as well, and that really freed up my time. So now, don't be worried about hiring the perfect person. So I meet a lot of clients actually trying to say that I need to hire somebody perfect for the role. In matter of fact, there's nobody perfect besides you most of the time, because you can do the job as perfect as possible. So you do not hire a duplicate of self. Hire somebody who can really help you buy back your time, and that's the key, right? If you can create systems to actually get the person to do in a certain way to get 70-80% of the job done, 80-70% perfect, that's the goal, right? You do not want them to do 100% perfect, because if you can hire someone that can do exactly as you, I would wish sometimes to get there, but it's very, very hard to get that person most of the time. And you don't need to get a perfect hire the first time. Neither do you need to get you can always fire and rehire if it's not the right fit. Don't be afraid to fire and rehire. I always do this wrong last time, is I don't fire fast enough if they're not a good fit, or rather I don't think they're a good fit for the culture. And that's something that you need to be okay with yourself and actually understand from that point of view that you're running a business, not a charity. And essentially that's how you can hire a personal assistant.